The time was 11:43 p.m. The city of Ouagadougou was quiet, with most citizens asleep, unaware of the storm that was about to be stirred inside the presidential residence. President Ibrahim Traoré sat at his desk reviewing late-night documents. His eyes were tired, but his mind remained alert. He had just signed a proposal for a new school project in the northern provinces when his secure phone rang. Traoré picked up the call instantly. "Yes, this is the president." There was silence on the other end, then came a trembling voice, clearly afraid but determined to speak. "Please, Mr. President, I know this line is dangerous, but I had no choice." "Who are you?" Traoré asked, leaning forward. "I can't say my name, but I beg you listen. There are over 200 children. Yes, children trapped in a secret illegal gold mine somewhere deep in the eastern region near Campina." The voice cracked. "They are starving, working with bare hands, treated like animals. Some are as young as 5. President Traoré's expression hardened. "Where exactly?" he asked quickly. The voice continued. "Follow the old logging road past the abandoned timber factory. There's a path that leads into the forest. No one goes there anymore. Please, you are the only one who can stop this." The line cut. The call ended. For a moment the president sat still, then he stood up quickly and pressed a button on his desk. "Call General Oba. Call Commander Idris. We are moving tonight," he ordered. His voice was filled with anger, not just as a leader but as a father. 20 minutes later the presidential convoy was ready. Black jeeps, armed security trucks, and 2 ambulances stood by. Traoré emerged dressed in military fatigue, his eyes sharp and serious. "Where are we going, sir?" General Oba asked. Traoré explained briefly. "An anonymous caller has just informed me that 200 children are being held in a hidden gold mine. We must find them." Commander Idris frowned. "If this is true, then someone is making money off their suffering." "Yes," Traoré said, "and tonight that ends." They moved swiftly through the quiet roads, lights off, guided only by moonlight and a strong sense of purpose. As they left the city behind, the air changed. Trees grew thicker, the roads became dusty and narrow. They passed through remote villages, most people asleep in mud huts. By 2:10 a.m. They reached the old timber factory. The caller mentioned it had long been abandoned, its roofs falling apart. Behind it, a hidden path led into the dense bush. "This must be it," Traoré said. He stepped out of his jeep and began walking. His men followed behind silently, with only torchlights to guide them. The group moved through the thick forest. The sounds of crickets and frogs filled the air. After almost an hour of walking they began to hear faint metallic sounds, clinking, scraping. Traoré raised a hand. "Everyone stay low." They crawled forward carefully, and then they saw it. Deep inside a natural hollow surrounded by rocky hills was a wide-open illegal gold mining site. The area was poorly lit with scattered floodlights powered by small generators. Men with guns walked around lazily, unaware of the approaching danger. But what struck the president the most was not the guards, it was the children. Some were waist-deep in muddy pits, digging with small rusted tools. Others were carrying heavy bags of sand, their faces covered in dust. None of them had shoes. Many wore torn clothes. Their stomachs were bloated from hunger and their eyes were hollow. A boy collapsed while carrying a bucket of dirty water. No one helped him. One of the guards shouted and kicked him to stand, but the boy couldn't move. Traoré felt his chest tighten. He clenched his fist. "Commander," he said quietly, "move in. No noise, no mercy." In seconds the president's men spread out like shadows. They surrounded the mine. At exactly 3:42 a.m. Commander Idris gave the signal, "Go." A loud bang echoed through the night as smoke grenades exploded. The guards panicked and ran, only to find themselves surrounded. Shots were fired into the air. Within 3 minutes the entire place was secured. All armed men had been arrested. The children, scared and confused, dropped their tools and huddled together. Many thought it was another group of dangerous men. "Don't hurt us," a small girl cried. But then Traoré walked into the clearing. Slowly he raised his voice gently. "My name is Ibrahim Traoré. I am your president, and today I have come to take you home." The children froze. Some blinked, unsure if it was a dream. Others began to cry. One boy asked, "Are you really the president?" Traoré nodded. "Yes, and you are free now." A boy who looked about 7 years old fell to his knees and started weeping. "They told us we would be unalived here, that no one cared." Traoré went to him and knelt. "They lied. I care, and you will not die. You will live. You will be great." More children began to collapse. Some fainted from exhaustion. The president immediately called for the medical team. "Start feeding them slowly," he instructed, "and get the weak ones into the ambulances." Hot food, water, and blankets were shared. The doctors began treating wounds, checking fevers, and giving rehydration drinks. Some of the children had infections. Others had wounds untreated for weeks. A girl's hand was bleeding. A boy's back was covered with whip marks. One little girl held Traoré's hand tightly and whispered, "Please don't leave us here." "I won't," he said, "I promise." At dawn the sun rose over the illegal mine, but instead of gold it now shone on hope. Traoré looked Around his voice was heavy with emotion. These children are the soul of our country. Look at what greed has done to them. He turned to his men. We will not rest until we find every wicked person behind this. Let's work together. Let's fight for justice. The soldiers saluted. Yes, Mr. President. By 7 a.m. The children were all moved to the convoy. The mine was sealed. Evidence was collected. Drones flew above taking pictures of the entire operation as they drove away. Many children slept for the first time in peace. Others stared at Traoré as if he were a miracle, and in many ways he was, because that night a president didn't wait for reports or investigations. He heard the cry of his people and came down himself, and the mission had just begun. It had been 1 week since the heroic rescue of over 200 children from the illegal gold mine. President Ibrahim Traoré had personally led the operation, saved the children, and moved them to a safe, well-guarded temporary shelter in Ouagadougou. Doctors were treating the weak ones. Counselors were speaking to the traumatized. Clean clothes, hot meals, and proper beds were provided. The children had even begun smiling again, but unknown to the president, danger still lurked in the shadows. The criminals behind the illegal gold operation had not yet been caught. They were wealthy, powerful men with deep connections, and they were angry. The rescue mission had destroyed their operation and exposed their secrets. They had lost money, slaves, and most of their guards had been arrested, but now they wanted revenge, not through violence but through lies too. Days later, unknown to the presidential guards, some of the bad men disguised themselves as reporters from an international media station. They arrived at the rescue center in 2 white vans with the logo of a fake humanitarian group. They brought sweets, toys, and cameras. The guards at the shelter were meant to refuse them, but some had already been bribed. One guard who was responsible for security on the east gate took the money quietly and whispered, "You have 30 minutes, make it quick." Inside the shelter, the men met with some of the children. They spoke softly, kindly, pretending to be helpers. "We are here to protect you," they said, "but the truth is you are still in danger." The children looked confused. One boy asked, "What do you mean?" The man replied, "That man who rescued you, he is not your president. He is the boss of another gold mine. He used soldiers to take you from one mine to another. This place is not safe." The children were silent, but he told us his name. He said he is President Ibrahim Traoré. One girl said the fake reporter shook his head. He lied. The real president would be too busy to come to the bush himself. "You were just being used." Then they asked the children to speak on camera. Say how you are still being forced to work. Say the man who took you is still using you. The children hesitated, but the fake journalist promised, "If you do this, the world will see your pain. They will come and take you to a better place, maybe even to Europe. Don't you want to be free?" Out of fear and confusion, the children agreed. One after another, they cried on camera, "The man who said he rescued us is using us." A boy sobbed, "He is not our president. He is a bad man. Please help us." Another girl said, "He brought us here to work again." They said, "We are safe, but we are not. The world must save us." The fake journalists packed their cameras and left quickly. Within hours, the video was uploaded to several fake news websites and social media pages. The caption read, "Burkina Faso's president exposed. Children claim he's using them for illegal gold mining." Within 24 hours, the video had gone viral. International media outlets picked it up. Twitter and Facebook were flooded with angry comments. "I said it, that man is no different from the others. How can a president lie to children? This is evil. He's stealing our gold to enrich his family." People were talking. Some believed the story, others didn't. Inside the presidential palace, President Traoré sat silently watching the video, his hands clenched into fists. His face was filled with pain and confusion. "What is this?" he asked his security advisor, who allowed a camera crew into the shelter. The advisor looked down. "We're still investigating, sir. Some guards may have been bribed." The president's voice shook with anger. "You mean to tell me someone entered a government facility, lied to rescue children, filmed them, and posted it to the world, and no one stopped them?" The room was silent. President Traoré stood up. "This is worse than any bullet. This is a bullet of lies. These people have brainwashed my children." He looked at the screen again. "These are the same children I knelt before. I held their hands. I fed them, and now they think I'm the enemy." He turned to his men. "Number, this cannot continue. We must act fast. We must act now before the whole world turns against us." He called a national emergency meeting that night. All top security officials, intelligence leaders, and child protection officers were summoned. "They want to destroy my name. They want to destroy this country's hope, but we will not let them win," he said. He then gave strict orders: investigate the fake journalists, find the bribed guards, tighten security around the children, and most importantly, traced the source of the video. Meanwhile, in the city, people were divided. Some marched on the streets demanding answers. Others gathered in support of Traoré, saying they believed in him, but the damage was spreading fast. International news houses began requesting interviews. Foreign organizations started asking questions. The country was now under a cloud of confusion. Who was telling the truth? Back at the rescue center, President Traoré decided to visit the children himself again. But this time secretly. He arrived without cameras, without guards, without protocol, just him and a trusted nurse. When the children saw him, they froze. Some were scared, some stepped back. One girl whispered, "You came back." Traoré looked around slowly. "Yes, I came because I heard you were in pain again, but I'm not angry, I just want the truth." He knelt down again before them. "Do you remember the night I found you, the night you were cold, hungry, and scared?" The children nodded. "Do you remember I said you are the future of this nation?" They nodded again. "Then, please," he said gently, "if someone came and told you lies about me, I want you to tell me. I can take it. Just tell me the truth." One small boy stepped forward. A man said, "You are not the president." He said, "You just took us from one gold mine to another." Traoré closed his eyes, breathed deeply. "And did you believe him?" The boy looked down. "We didn't know what to believe. They said if we said it on camera, the world would come and rescue us." Another girl added, "They gave us sweets and promised we'd be free forever." Traoré stood up. "My children, listen to me. I am your president. I came that night because I love this nation and I love you. You are not tools. You are not slaves. You are my responsibility, and no matter what the world says, I will protect you." The children started to cry again, but this time it was from guilt and confusion. One of the older boys walked up to him. "We're sorry. We didn't know. We thought we were doing the right thing." Traoré placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. "I forgive you, but now we must all work together to correct the lies." That night a plan was made. A truth campaign would begin. Real journalists would be invited under proper security. The real story would be told by the president, by the children, and by those who were there. But time was ticking. The enemies were still out there watching, waiting, plotting, and President Traoré knew the next move had to be bold, it had to be fast, and it had to be loud. 3 days had passed since the fake video spread across the world. People were still divided. Some called for international investigations, others sent threats to the Burkina Faso government. But while confusion and doubt filled the air, President Ibrahim Traoré remained focused. He knew that if he didn't act quickly, the trust of the people both at home and abroad would be completely destroyed. The children were still being treated at the safe center, but now they were surrounded by new layers of security. Trusted soldiers had replaced the bribe guards. Every visitor was carefully checked. No one could speak to the children without permission. Inside the palace, President Traoré met again with his inner circle. His eyes were tired, but his voice was sharp. "We cannot sit and watch while our name is dragged in the mud. We must tell our side of the story, and we must do it now." General Oba agreed. "Sir, the people need to hear from the children again, but this time the truth must be protected." The president nodded. "We'll organize a press conference, but not the usual one. It must be raw, unedited. The children will speak freely in their own words. Let the world hear what truly happened that night." A media team was gathered, this time made up of trusted local and international journalists with strong reputations. They were properly vetted and invited under full presidential control. The day of the press event arrived. Cameras were set up inside a clean, simple hall at the rescue center. There were no decorations, no fancy lights, just seats, microphones, and truth. The children, now properly dressed, looked healthier than before. Some still had scars, but there was light in their eyes. President Traoré stood at the back watching silently. The first child to speak was 10-year-old Jonathan. He walked slowly to the microphone, looked at the cameras, called to commend him. The lies had started to break, but President Traoré was not done. The next day, he launched what he called Operation Gold Truth, a powerful investigation into all illegal mining activities in the country. Secret agents were deployed. Names of suspicious businessmen. "You will not only survive, you will succeed." He told them plans were also made to build a special school called Mesa de Lumiere, House of Light, just for rescued children, where they would be trained, educated, and protected. But President Traoré knew the battle was not over. Evil always finds new ways to hide, and the men behind the mines still had influence. He called another meeting. "We've exposed their lies. We've healed the children." Traoré smiled back. "Yes, and now you will learn. You will grow, and one day you will lead." Dear viewers, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, share with your friends, and turn on the post notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever we upload a new video. Thank you for watching.